We have 6 brand new patterns, and what's even better, they work with either a panel or 3 yards of fabric. Hi, it's Fran Morgan with Fabric Café, and I am so excited to share with you today 6 brand new patterns. Now, these patterns are written especially for panels. Now, how does this work? You're going to use 1 yard of a panel and 2 additional yards of fabric, or you can use 3 yards of fabric, just like you would with traditional 3-yard patterns. Now, it's really great because we've also written these patterns for different size panels. So there is something for everyone. All the panel fabrics that you see today are new lines from QT Fabrics. So let's check out our first pattern. Now, this is our vintage pattern, and it was designed especially for a 6-inch panel block. And as you can see here, these lovely little bees are our 6-inch panel block here. We've put it together with a really fun border here, which is actually alternate blocks. I think it came together so beautifully, so easily, and so fast, and isn't it stunning? Let's get it on the table and talk a little bit more about this. Each quilt is designed to accommodate the panels that are in 1 yard of fabric. So you can substitute in and out either regular yardage or a panel yardage. This particular panel has 20 bee blocks in it. I made sure that when we designed these patterns that you use what is in that 1 yard. So we're not going to use more than 20 of these panels. All right, now let's look at this panel because it's gorgeous. We have the most beautiful bee art here, and we know that bees are essential to life. And this is a beautiful, beautiful panel. And as you can see on the screen, all of the beautiful different pieces of art with those bees on it, it is just gorgeous. The colors, the flowers, the warmth that it brings, it almost feels like honey because it's the bees, right? It's just so warm. And as I said, we are going to fussy cut these and put them in our blocks here in the number 1 position. Now for our number 2 fabric, we have a really pretty beige fabric here that has a little tone-on-tone print. And that print is bees, which is darling. And they have just little swirls like they're buzzing around. So cute. And that works perfectly in our number 2 position. Now for our number 3, another beautiful fabric. We have kind of a dark brown black with a beige, and it's got this gorgeous kind of textural print that's like a medallion. I think it works beautifully with this in the number 3 position. And as you can see, it creates this kind of fun little star here. It's kind of surrounding our bees. I think it's just perfect. Makes for the most striking quilt. Just absolutely love how this turned out. Love this bee panel. It is so cute. So let me get you the kit information on this. It is called Bee Cozy, and it's our brand new panel pattern, vintage. Because 3-yard quilts are so versatile, and these patterns are no different, we are going to show you an example of a running yardage kit. So no panel in this one, but we have some beautiful number 1 focus fabric here. We have this gorgeous floral that looks a little watercolor. We have some blues and purples and greens, all on a nice creamy white background. This is going to be our number 1 fabric, and that's going to go everywhere you see the panel block here. So you can substitute that out, which I love. So very pretty. Then for our number 2, we have a very textural number 2 fabric. Hints of really, really pale green and a little sparkle, which I always like. It's just a little bit of a shimmer on this. It's going to go in the background where you see the cream here. And then our number 3, oh my goodness, is this not scrumptious? It is a floral pattern that looks gorgeous with our focus fabric. Lights and darks, blues, purples, greens, all so pretty. Going to work beautiful for our joining blocks here as well as on the border and binding. It's going to help frame our number 1 just so beautifully. Now we have an image on the screen for you so that you can see how great these patterns work with running yardage. Of course, we've already seen the panel one, but look at this. This is gorgeous. That focus fabric looks so great in there. That little joining block just really pops to give you that star. and just so much fun. All right, the kit information on this one is called Blue Meadow, and once again, it is our vintage pattern. This is Marquee, and Marquee was designed especially for 10-inch panel blocks. As you can see, we have our panel blocks here. We've alternated them with our fabric 2 and 3 fabric, so it gives them a really neat kind of floaty feel on there to give it some dimension. We also have some nice stars across the top and bottom that are going to go together super fast. No half square triangles, just a little bit of stitch and flip. It's going to be made in no time. Let's get it on the table and check out some fabric. So our cutting instructions are written just like all of our other 3-yard quilt patterns, where it tells you exactly how to cut each fabric, fabric 1, fabric 2, and fabric 3. In this case, because these are also written for panel fabrics, we have given you a note right up above the cutting instructions here saying that a panel block can be used, and what you're going to do is you're going to fussy cut it to the size that it's stated here, as well as check the cutting instructions for the quantity. So in this case, our quantity is listed in our fabric 1 cutting instructions, telling us that we're going to need 9 of these blocks. And this particular panel has 9 in 1 yard, which is perfect. All right, so after you check that, then we're going to start cutting our panels. So the first thing that I like to do when we cut our panels is I open it up completely. I unfold it so that I can see the entire thing. I'm going to get my square and I'm going to check this. So these are going to be the perfect size for my pattern. So I'm checking to make sure that it comes out that way. Now I'm going to need to cut just a little bit extra beyond the panel where it's printed. So the easiest way that I have found is to actually cut strips first, because it makes it a little bit easier to manage. So I'm going to take this ruler and I'm going to measure and find out how much space is between these printed blocks. Right here I have 2 inches. So what I'm going to do is cut it smack in the middle. I'm going to cut 1 inch from the printed area here and 1 inch from the printed area there. Now, a little bit of a word of warning on this. Sometimes when the fabric manufacturers roll the fabric on the bolt, it kind of gets a little twisted. This is the reason why we've unfolded it completely. Don't cut both layers at once. Open it completely. That's a really important thing, because it may be that it gets off just a little bit. We need to line that up. And I'm going to cut this a little at a time, okay? So there's 1. So there's 1 inch, 1 inch. I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to shift it down so that I can measure this very carefully. So I'm right in the middle. Once again, pick up where I left off, and I have, there's my cut, 1 inch along that printed edge, and I'm going to cut that one. And I am going to line this up so that I have 1 inch from this printed edge as well. And what this does is it's going to keep you from accidentally cutting it off and say accidentally getting it like too close to the printed edge. Now I'm going to use my square. Now on my pattern, it says to cut a 10.5 inch block because we're using our 10-inch panel block, so I need to include the seam allowance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up so that I have a 1/4 inch on this side, a 1/4 inch on this side, 1/4 inch on this, and a 1/4 inch on that. That will total 10.5. So I'm going to just kind of line this up, and you see it's not just perfectly square, so I'm going to do one of these little things. I don't know if this is a no-no or not. I'm going to go to kind of get it. Sometimes that kind of helps with squaring. Now I'm going to put this up again, and there's a 1/4, a 1/4. Oh, that did the trick. So that what this does is it's going to put that panel block right in the center, and I'm going to cut 2 sides. I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to cut that. All right, now I'm going to turn this, and I'm going to cut the other 2 sides. All right. Now what's really great about a lot of these panels is the background color coordinates so well with the printed image that even if a little bit of it comes through on your block, it's not a problem, okay? That happens to us too. All right, and then we're gonna trim that off. And there is our beautiful first square cut. This block is actually bordered, and all we're doing on this is we are going to sew strips to the top and the bottom. This is what gives us that really neat inset look that the pattern has. And then these, after these two are sewn on, these two will be sewn on the sides, like so. Very easy. You do that for all of your panel blocks. Then we have those really cool stars across the top and the bottom. Let's show you that. There's actually no half square triangles on these blocks, which is really fun because it makes it super, super fast. What we've done is we have our fabric 3 here and our fabric 2. We've marked a line on our fabric 2 going corner to corner. Then we're gonna put these right sides together and we're gonna take and sew on our sewing machine right on top of this line here. Now, notice here that we have 2 different directions. This one is angled this way, this one is angled the opposite way. That's gonna give us that little point on our star. So you're gonna do some this way and some this way. Then you're going to trim it 1/4 inch from where you sewed, and then flip it back, and this is what we create, these cool little rectangular pieces. These are the points to our star. Then we're going to sew these 2 together. And I have one right here that I can show you. Now here is the piece here. So you see how that matches that, but we've sewn them down the middle. And then we're gonna turn it and we're gonna line them, we're gonna make 4. And we're gonna put them all together like a 9 patch to create our star. This is so simple to do. It really goes fast. No half square triangle trimming, easy, easy stitch and flip, and it creates this darling, darling square. I just love this. Okay, so we have our Marquee quilt here on the table so that we can look at the fabric. I really love the watercolor feel of this art. It's absolutely gorgeous. They're nature scenes with all of these animals, and they have encouraging sayings on them, like life is the best adventure. I mean, isn't that fun? And not all who wander are lost. I mean, that's a creative person thing, right? Us creative people love to wander and explore. It's just exquisite. So this is, like I said, our fabric number 1, our panel fabric, and it goes in all of these big blocks here. There are 9 blocks and there's 9 panels, so it's perfect. Then for our number 2 fabric, we have paired it with this gorgeous fabric that looks like mountains with the blues and the greens and the beiges and the creams all modeled together. It makes the perfect number 2 fabric, bordering every other block and a little bit in the background down there on our stars. It's just perfect. I love that it's like mountain scenes with our wonderful animal artwork here. Our number 3 is a beautiful dark green. Once again, we're bordering every other block. This is also what our stars were done in that we showed you just a moment ago, as well as our border and binding. And I think it's the perfect number 3 to really ground all of this and give us that pop that we're looking for. So gorgeous kit, really love this pattern. This kit is called Wonder of Nature. This is our Marquee pattern, which is brand new, especially for panels. Now the name of this gorgeous panel quilt is called Ribbons and Bows. Can you guess why? Because we have put our piecing together here, so we have a fun little bow in the corner and our ribbons are streaming around this gorgeous full yard panel. Now this is going to be super fun to put together because we are framing it so lovely, just like a pretty package. We've got some really, really fun fabric for this one. Let's go check it out. It's actually very simple putting this together in these blocks. So I'm going to grab the cropping tool here so that you can see really how simple this is. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you one of the easiest blocks on the border here that is just strip pieced. Now we've used 2 long strips of fabric, cut selvage to selvage, sewn them together in a long strip, and then we're just going to cut off sections to create this block here. So easy, right? Now this block is actually used multiple times. For instance, we've got it up here 2 We've just turned it the other way. And this is part of our ribbon in creating the flow. Now, some of the other blocks that we have here are also very, very simple. In this case, we have 3 half square triangles and a square, and we've just turned them in such a way so that when we sew them together, it gives us the points of the ribbon, and it kind of makes it where the ribbon looks like it's twisting and flowing. So I'm going to move this so you can see another one of these blocks. This one is made with 2 squares and 2 half square triangles, so that it's just super simple. And I tell you what, this one, I have used this pattern again and again and again because it has so many different, even though it's the ribbons and bows and we think Christmas, I've put 4th of July fabric in it and it's great. I've put other holiday, I've put fanciful fabric in it with castles and everything, and it's just great. It's really been a lot of fun to work with. Okay, let's look at our number 1 fabric. We have a very, very happy Santa here, checking his list, making sure he's delivering to all the good boys and girls, and he's just so happy right in the center of our quilt. And as you can see, it is truly a beautiful piece of art. So we have paired him with a really simple number 2 fabric. It's a really nice warm beige. It has those lights and those darks that we like. And as you can see, it is all on the border here in our pieced blocks for the border. Makes it very, very pretty. And it makes our number 3 fabric really pop. So our number 3 fabric is this beautiful kind of a burgundy color with all the toys on it, which is of course what Santa's gonna have, right? He's got all the toys with him, delivering them. He's got tops and drums and teddy bears. Everything is there. We have that making our ribbon here on the border, as well as a little bit on the outside border and the binding. Just so, so sweet. So the kit information on this one is called Checking It Twice, and it is our brand new ribbons and bows pattern. Now for your 8-inch panel blocks, we have Gatsby, and this is such a fun one. It is so cool. We have our 8-inch panel here. As you can see, we've alternated every other block with that panel, which is just amazing. And this one is a gorgeous panel. And then we've alternated it with a really easy to put together block, just rotating them. And then it creates this really cool pattern on the surface of the quilt. It almost makes it look like the panels are popping off and these are receding. So, so super cool. Gorgeous quilt. Let's go check out some more stuff about this Gatsby pattern. We have found a gorgeous medallion that is an 8-inch block, so it works perfectly in this quilt. So for our fabric number 1, we have used these and cut them down according to the pattern. Be sure to remember to check that note at the top. And I love how this works in this pattern. I love the dimension that this pattern has. The alternate blocks create such a cool like background, like there's something else going on back there. And then our medallions just pop in that number 1 position. It is gorgeous. All right, let's check out our number 2 fabric. It is so pretty. It's a nice warm beige. It's a really pretty design on it here for the background. It's tone on tone, so it's not going to be too bold for your background, but really a lot of interest. You know, like we like to say, number 2 fabric should never be boring, and in this case, it is not. You can see how we have it in our alternate block here, and then just a little bit on the border just to frame it all in, really help those stained glass panel blocks pop. So for our number 3, we have a nice dark black with these medallions that once again kind of pick up our stained glass look. Lots of beautiful color in these. We have used that here to create this illusion block as our alternate block here, which is very cool, and a little on the border. I think it works so well with our focus fabric. I just love these two together. All right, this kit information is called Radiant Reflections, and this is our Gatsby pattern. Now, as you know, all of these patterns can be made with panel blocks, or it can be made with regular running yardage 3 1-yard cuts. So we have one here that is gorgeous. So we have put these amazing poppies here on a dark background, the reds, the golds, the greens, the whites, all in this. This is a striking fabric. This will be our number 1 fabric, and it is going to go in all of our big blocks here where our panels are. but these are just regularly cut blocks, which makes it so easy. All right, our number 2, a really nice textural warm yellow. This is going to really help our poppies pop off of the quilt. Lots of dimension in this because we've got our lights and our darks, little touches of green, little touches of darker gold, lighter gold. Very, very, very pretty. And of course, that is going to go everywhere you see the cream on this one here. And then as our number 3, we have a textural black, which picks up our poppy background. You know how I love to do that. Pick the number 3 from the background fabric of your number 1. Now this fabric is really cool because it actually has like a floral print on it, but it's very tone on tone. So you see the floral print, but it's not like really big and bold like our focus is. It's acting exactly as it needs to as a number 3 fabric, the accent color that gives us the punch. Now that punch is going to be right here where you see the black on this quilt, creating that cool little box in the background, as well as on our border here. Now, I can't wait to share this image with you because this image is gorgeous. Look how this fabric turned out in this quilt. Is this not just so striking? I love the way the poppy fabric just pops off of the front of the quilt, bringing it forward, and how that black and the cream kind of recede to the background. I think it gives such a neat 3-dimensional look. This is a really, really cool pattern and a really, really simple one that I think is going to look great in so many different fabrics. And this, of course, is no exception. All right, now before I give you the kit information, I'd like to point out the quilt behind me. Isn't this gorgeous? This is our landslide pattern. It is from the book Quilts in a Jiffy. And this pattern can also be used with panels, which is really cool. Now, if you want to know more about that, be sure to check out the video that pops up. All right, let's get you the kit information on these gorgeous poppies. It is called Poppy Fields, and this is our Gatsby pattern. Now we have another full yard panel quilt here. Is this not Majestic? Now, that's what we named this pattern, Majestic, because it just really up front and center, this gorgeous, gorgeous panel here. Now we have bordered it with a really fun half square triangle border that I think just frames it so beautifully and gives so much interest. Have another nice big border here, and it is striking. I mean, if this was hanging in your house, would you not go, wow? I know I would. Let's talk just a little bit about cutting your full-size panels, because this one is a full yard panel and sometimes it's a lot of fabric to manage. So what's the best way to do that? First, I check my pattern to find out what the finished cut is that I need to do. Not the finished size I'm making it, but the finished cut that I need. Then I trim down my full yard panel, leaving a couple of inches just to keep it at a manageable size. Then I usually just use my ruler, I find the center, and then I measure out from that. So if you need to cut your panel across the top at 30 inches, then half of that would be 15. What you're gonna do is you're gonna measure from the 15, which would be your center, so find that. You can find it by folding your fabric and putting a little pin there and then opening it back up. Then your final cut, you'll get it to size with your measuring from the center. Now before you cut your big panel, make sure it's pressed well, make sure you're opening it up and cutting it just one layer. Don't try to double it and cut it that way, because as we discussed earlier, sometimes the fabric gets a little skewed here and there. So you want to make sure that you get a really nice finished cut. Let's check out this panel, because our focus fabric on this quilt is so striking, it just draws you in. This tiger is so beautiful, so majestic, just like the name of the pattern, that you just want to grab him and hug him. I just think he's just so incredible. And of course I love cats, so big cats are no different. So this cat is beautiful. All right, now let's look at our number 2 fabric. These golds pick up perfectly our tiger golds in our main panel. It has a lot of texture to it, which I think is very cool, very interesting, and it keeps that warmth in the quilt and gives us lots of contrast. Our number 3 fabric is this green. This green is kind of cool. So when you look at it, what you see are leaves kind of all over the place, but every every once in a while you see a little tiger eye peeking through like he's in the jungle. And I think that's kind of cool. It really ties it together. And this green contrasts so well with our number 2 fabric, which is the gold, that I think it really helps create this really nice border with these half square triangles. And of course we framed it on the edge with an extra border and our binding. Striking quilt. Really enjoy this one. So this kit is called Eye of the Tiger, and once again, this pattern is called Majestic. Now this pattern is perfect for your 7-inch panel blocks. As you can see here, it is showcasing them beautifully. This pattern is called Streetcar. Now we have alternated our panel blocks with these rectangular blocks so that your panel blocks really stand out. However, this also gives you some movement to the quilt and helps your panel blocks to really stand out because it's not too much on your piecing. Lovely quilt, very fun to put together. Let's put it on the table, check out the fabric. Now we had our big tiger, now we have our little tigers. Now this kitty panel here is so darling. We have it in our number 1 position. And this panel, 1 yard of this panel has 20 blocks, which is plenty for this quilt. So no worries there. All different breeds, our tabbies, our sleek black kitties, our long hairs, our calicos. You know, that's why we love panel quilts, right? Because we can put art on our quilt, and that's what this feels like. It's like a little art gallery. It's just so cool. So that's our number 1. Our number 2 fabric is this cream that has a little kind of stitched looking pattern of leaves and flowers in a little darker beige color. That goes in our background. I think it's the perfect scale for a number 2 fabric. Really falls to the background, but once again, not boring at all. As you can see, it works perfectly bordering our blocks in our alternate block. Now our number 3 fabric, this is very pretty. You know, we're used to putting a more kind of solid fabric in our number 3. This is very cool because this is a gorgeous print all in of itself. And it is creating our alternate blocks here, lots of texture here, lots of color to pull the color from our focus fabric. And then of course it borders it beautifully. Really love this one. I think this is great fabric. All right, this gorgeous quilt, this kit is called Quilt Room Kitties, and this quilt is called Streetcar. So we are so excited to be able to bring you these panel patterns because we know you've been asking for them for a while. Now, if you're interested in all 6 patterns, we are going to be offering all 6 in a bundle for you. It's going to make it super simple. You can find the link in the description, and you can also find it on our website in the Book and Pattern Bundles tab. Let me know which pattern is your favorite. Just type me a little comment down there in the comment section. I would love to hear. I know I have some of my favorites, so I'm very excited. So if you would like to see some other ways to use panels in 3-yard quilts, be sure to watch the video that pops up. Happy quilting!